glorious Monday morning. Gregory, look at the setup that we have in next door.
I know, we're all set for the first of our local election debates, Lee Gooch. It's going to be very exciting.
I'm good on time today because I know you need every minute counts.
No, all's good.
Come here, there's 9 microphones in it. Just tell me now from one person to another, how do you, there's 9 people in there and they're all going to be good talkers, right?
Yes.
So how do you, conduct that?
I don't. They do their
it's
thing.
Up to them.
It's up to them looking for votes.
To get the spoke in.
Yeah,
so there's no point sitting back. You just have to...
So we've got, we're doing Milford today, seeing as we're doing a plug.
Yeah.
And we have 6 in today. Right?
Yeah, right.
So there will be 9 at one point, but today it's 6.
Good setup, yeah.
And that's after 10 o'clock.
And you're streaming it live as well.
Streaming it live. That's broadcasting on the radio, which is number 1, of course. But for people who want to see the white of the eyes, we'll be broadcasting it on YouTube, Facebook, and X as well.
Yeah. So
then after 12, we're doing the Midlands Northwest debates exclusively online, so people will be able to watch that as well after 12 o'clock. Or they can listen to John on the radio, so there's the choice.
It's going to be very, very busy then.
It is.
It's going to be a busy couple of weeks then, isn't it?
That's the way it's. Yeah. Well, we've 10 local election debates, 5 European debates, and then of course we've got the count and all that. So it's full steam ahead. It is it is newsroom sort of All Ireland kind of situation, isn't it? But we love our politics in this county. It's just this is a different election, and it's just going to be very interesting. And I
would say you'll have a right few ears listening. I know you do.
I hope so. And spread the word. Today, there's a whole list of them. Liam Blaney's in, Part McGarvey's in, Maria Doherty's in, Declan Meehan's in, Vincent Bradley is in, Kathleen Deeney's in, Eamon Jackson is in. So
very
actually,
good.
That's 7. Sorry, there's 7 today, not
that's
6.
Great.
All right,
good
so
crew.
that's
all right. You have
fun.
fun.
Tune in. You've got interest around Milford.
No, I do. No, but I like politics wouldn't have been my strongest point, but I like to try to keep abreast of stuff so I'll be tuning in.
Good stuff.
Dipping in.
Okay, vote early, vote often.
Right,
that's the mantra. Okay, we'll tell you more about all of that stuff after we get a news update now, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Gardaí have renewed their appeal for witnesses after the death of a man in his 80s whose car was recovered from the water at Buncrana Pier yesterday morning. A multi-agency operation ensued after Gardaí and emergency services were alerted to a vehicle in the water at around 7:30. The man was discovered deceased inside the vehicle. His body was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital where a post-mortem is due to take place. Anyone who was travelling in the vicinity of Buncrana Pier, Swilly Road and Shorefront between 6:30 and 7:30 yesterday morning is asked to contact Buncrana Garda Station. Some Tidy Towns committees around the country are worried election posters will lower their scores. Local and European elections will take place on the 7th of June, which is around the same time judging for this year's competition is set to take place. Senator Robbie Gallagher has written to Community Development Minister Heather Humphreys asking for adjudication to be delayed until after election posters have been taken down. He believes it would be fair on both the election candidates and Tidy Towns groups.
By law, all posters have to be removed within a week of the polling day. So in that situation, if that happened, well then all the candidates would feel that they're getting a fair crack of the whip. And equally, or maybe even more importantly, the Tidy Towns groups then that have allowed candidates to put up posters, they would feel that they wouldn't be perhaps not on the same level playing field as those towns and villages that have asked candidates not to put them up.
Well, as you heard, the first of Highland Radio's local election debates kicks off today. This morning from 10:15 on the 9 till noon show, the focus will be on the Milford local electoral area where 9 candidates are vying for 3 seats. There's calls for traffic calming measures to be installed to allay the fears of people in Greencastle. Concern has been raised by residents in the vicinity of Greencastle Community Centre, particularly over the speed at which vehicles are travelling through. Donegal County Council has agreed to visit the area to establish what measures should be put in place on the route. Councillor Martin Farron says it's a busy area with young children that warrants safety improvements.
From the community centre down to what we call the crossroads there in Greencastle, there's a number of housing estates there and the community centre, of course. And unfortunately, cars are travelling at a speed that they shouldn't be travelling at. And there's an awful lot of families with young children, and they're concerned in relation to the speed that these cars are travelling at. I would like it dealt with because that's a very, very busy area. You have the community centre, you have a number of housing estates there, and I would have seen it myself on numerous occasions, the speed that cars are travelling at. So something really needs to be addressed.
Weather now dry and bright this morning with plenty of sunny spells. A few showers will develop this afternoon, turning rather heavy and thundery at times, with highest temperatures of 20 to 23 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Before you settle on a new hybrid, take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge. The Nissan Qashqai e-Power is a hybrid, so you don't have to plug in. But unlike other hybrids, it always drives in electric mode. You get the superior smooth and quiet driving experience of an electric car, all of the time. Take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge at your local Nissan dealer today. You'll never look back. Nissan, innovation that excites.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to another week of the 9 till Noon Show. We're broadcasting live from a sunny northwest of Ireland, of course, on this, the 20th of May. And as I was saying to Lee there, the programming for the next 10 days is going to be somewhat different here in the 9 till Noon Show. We dedicate the first hour to the usual material that we have for you. And then from 10 to 12, we have our local election debates, where we've given every candidate an invite to take part in the debates. And the majority, the absolute vast majority, have accepted. And as I said to Lee there, and as we heard Michaela saying, I'm sorry to bombard you with it, but we have the Milford district in our sights today. There are 9 candidates contesting 3 seats. John O'Donnell was invited. He's unavailable. He says, actually, I don't want to sound like I'm saying something I'm not intended to. He is unavailable as he's attending a council meeting. Liam Blaney is joining us. Paul McGarvey's an independent. He's joining us too. We have Maria Doherty in studio with us after 10, as will Declan Meehan, an independent, join us. Vincent Bradley, he confirmed in the last hour that he'll be attending. Aaron Sweeney's unavailable as he is busy at work and can't get leave to attend. Kathleen Deeney of Aintu will be with us, as will Eamon Jackson, 100% redress. Now, there's a couple of things that I would love from you, the listener, and as I say, we'll be covering all constituencies in our area over the next 10 days, is what's the most important things to you? So maybe a 1 and a 2. So is it housing? Is it health? Is it defective concrete? What are, if you're in the Milford area particularly, and this is not to exclude anyone else, like what are your priorities? And do you have a question for the candidates? You can get them into us now, 086 60 25,000. You'll be able to watch the debates as well, but not on this stream. This stream will end at 10. So if you're watching this and you want to watch the debates, we'll be going live very shortly after this one ends, if that makes sense, because we have to move studio and equipment and that type of stuff as well. So for the first time ever, really, here across the Northwest, you will be able to listen on the radio and watch on your favourite social media channel the candidates seeking your vote. After 12, before we get to the papers, after 12 we begin our debates, our European debates. And again, we've invited every candidate that's standing. That's important to us here. You might note that other media organisations are picking who to invite, and some people are being excluded for whatever reason. I don't really like it. I don't see the notion of it. I know time is an issue, but you have to make the time, don't you? So today, we've Noel Blaney of Fianna Fáil, Michelle Smith, Independent, Chris McManus, Sinn Féin, Rory Hearn, Social Democrats. They'll be joining us, and that's exclusively streamed online, by the way. John Waters is an independent who is standing in this area. We made an awful lot of effort to contact Mr. Waters to invite him to take part, but unfortunately he didn't respond, so at this point isn't. So that's what's coming up a little later on, but we will kick off with a look at what's on the front of and the inside of some of the newspapers, starting with the Derry People Donegal News. A local councillor said the community of Buncrana will rally around the family of a man whose body was recovered from the water at Buncrana Pier yesterday morning. Councillor Jack Morey said there is an awful sense of numbness following the recovery of the remains of the man, aged in his 80s, from a vehicle. Gardaí and emergency services were alerted to a vehicle in the water at Buncrana Pier at around 7:30am on Sunday morning, and following a multi-agency search and recovery operation, the car was recovered from the water. One male aged in his 80s was discovered deceased inside the vehicle. And our thoughts and prayers are with the gentleman who very sadly passed away, and all his friends and family and the wider community all affected by that, I'm absolutely sure. The Derry News this morning, a disabled Derry resident has spoken of their experience of living in the Rock Mills apartment block in Strand Road, which they have described as a living hell. The resident, who wishes to remain anonymous out of fear of reprisal from other residents still living there, spoke to Derry News in order to advise anybody not to contemplate moving into the apartments, having recently been assaulted within the complex. Right, that's an interesting story. On to the Nationals now, and there's a bit of a theme, in cost of living theme, and how much we're being charged for stuff. So we'll crack on. As many of you would know, a lot of talk has been about reducing premiums, insurance premiums. But many of you who've gone for renewals will have noticed that premiums aren't necessarily going down. They are, in fact, for some, staying the same or going up. And also, too, when you shop around, maybe not the savings you might hope for. Well, insurance industry bosses have been given 2 months to cut premiums after being summoned to a government minister's office and told to pass on savings to consumers and businesses. Consumer groups and business organisations have accused the industry of gross injustice for what they say is a failure to cut premiums despite reforms being delivered for the sector that have reduced the cost of claims. Insurers had repeatedly told the Oireachtas Finance Committee they would reduce premiums if they got key reforms such as judicial guidelines, which have substantially reduced award levels. But motor premiums have risen for 8 months in a row, with home insurance also increasing. And I think I noticed that myself as well, the home insurance through the roof. No pun intended, but there it is nonetheless. And also too, and these stories I find hard to consume when we're told how rich the country is, when we're told there's full employment, and yet we're being told also there's a rise in number of children growing up in poverty. So really, all the optics, all that conversation means very little to me when the people we're charged with protecting and giving the best opportunities to, we as a nation, not as individuals, as a nation, are failing. There was an increase of more than 30,000 in the number of children experiencing deprivation in the past year in Ireland, a new report by the Children's Rights Alliance has found. The report published today revealed there was an increase from 229,000 children experiencing deprivation in 2022 to 261,000 in 2023. This means that 1 in 5 children in our country were living in households unable to afford goods and services that are considered the norm for society, such as being able to afford a new pair of shoes for a child or not being able to replace broken furniture. Children have the highest at-risk of poverty rate at 14.3%, higher than the rate among the general population at 10.6%. And this is why when someone starts talking about how fantastic we are as a country, I pull them up on it, because this is the lived reality for so many people listening. Not that we're at full employment and everything is rosy in the garden. For some it is clearly. I'm not taking away from that, but also obviously there is a factor. There is a problem that there are far too many, over a quarter of a million children living in deprivation in this country. Part of that's going to be costs, and this is the Irish Daily Mail. Growing numbers of people are falling into arrears with their gas and electricity bills as households struggle with soaring costs. The number of households in arrears on their gas bill in March rose to a record 25%, compared to 23% a month earlier. Meanwhile, 1 in 10 customers, that's around 231,000, were behind on their electricity bills, the figures show. However, the percentage of non-domestic gas users overdue on their accounts dropped from 30 to 28% at the end of the same period. On to the Star now, this morning's Irish Daily Star. Average rent in Dublin is €2,400 and is set to rise. This is eye-watering stuff. I would say there's very few of us listening that pay that much for a mortgage, let alone rent. And I think the rent's up here around about half that or a little bit more, which is still shocking. But the average monthly rent in Dublin is now almost €2,400. It's up 2.5% year on year, but there could be worse to come because of the lack of supply. There is some good news as rent inflation has slowed, but they are still rising steadily outside the capital. And just to clarify, because we talked about this last week and I don't think it's mentioned enough, rent inflation slowing does not mean that rents are not going up. It means that rents are not going up at the higher rate they were before it began to slow. Market rents rose by an average of 0.6% in the first quarter of 24. The daft.ie rental price report for that period has revealed. The average open market rent nationwide in the first quarter of this year was €1,800 €836 per month, up 4.9% year on year. Shocking, isn't it? And do you know the same people that are having to find that money go to borrow for a mortgage, and the mortgage could be half of the rent, and they're refused because they can't afford it, yet they can show for 10 years they're paying these skyrocketing rents. It's very unfair. The Irish Sun, pop star rapper Sean Diddy Combs says his sustained attack on singer and ex-girlfriend Cassie, revealed on CCTV footage last week, is inexcusable. The footage appears to show the US star 54 pull back her head and throw her to the floor of the hotel lobby in 2016. He appears then to repeatedly kick Cassie, drag her across the floor, and later throw a vase at her. In a post on his Instagram yesterday, he said it's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you got to. And I'm not reading the rest of it here, but it's amazing because he denied all of this. And it's amazing all of a sudden, close up to the camera, poor Diddy, as he's called. But this admittance has only come out after video evidence, which showed his brutal attack on that person, meant that he couldn't deny it any longer. And then it's like, oh, poor me, look what I did. I was in a dark place. Very sad, really, that it takes being exposed like that to actually admit what you've done. But because of the statutes of limitations, I think it was about 8 years ago, and he can't be done for it, which is shocking, I think. And final update on the portal between Dublin and New York. I'm not obsessed, but I've been tracking this story because from the get-go it was like, what? Not a good idea. Well, anyway, they finally admitted defeat because it opened yesterday with restricted hours in a bid to stop late night and antisocial behaviour. Dublin City Council said the live transatlantic camera feed started again at 2 p.m. and will from now on run from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Irish time. This means it will cease functioning every day at 4 p.m. in New York. Council bosses said adjustments to the camera would also ensure there would be no repeat of yobs holding up offensive images of the 9/11 attacks to be viewed on the American side. But I think it's just kind of... it's sad, but it was always the case, really. It should never have happened. They should have come up with something else because we can't have nice things anymore. So they've admitted defeat there, bar the shouting. All right, good morning to Dolores and good morning to Kathy. Kathy is watching us from a sunny County Meath. Good to have you both on board and the rest of you watching the show on our socials. We'll be back with our first guests on the programme after we take a quick break.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Kelly's Centra and Diner, Mountaintop Letterkenny, winner of Best Family Dining at the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
June 7th is polling day. On that day, you'll be asked to vote in the European elections, the local elections, and, if you're registered in Limerick, in the election of Limerick's new mayor. You'll find the information you need on all the votes taking place at electoralcommission.ie. Your vote is your voice, so don't let others speak for you. Be a voter on June 7th. From An Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's independent electoral commission.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
The hall, the landing, that bit under the stairs where the spiders live. An unconverted attic haunted by the tormented ghost of a Victorian child. The West Wing, room 23. The drawing room, the paint me like one of your French ladies room. The room formerly known as Prince. Want Wi-Fi that goes everywhere so you don't have to? Get the Virgin Media Wi-Fi guarantee. Virgin Media, it's playtime.
Subject to availability, the Wi-Fi guarantee service can be added for €5 extra a month and a minimum speed of 30 megabytes in every room using our smart Wi-Fi pods. Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie.
Spring has arrived and it's time to book a dream break at McGrory's Hotel Kildare, where we're celebrating 100 years of Irish welcomes. Discover our beautiful bedrooms, relax in our bar, or explore the gorgeous Donegal countryside and nearby beach. With fantastic packages for all. Book now at mcgrorys.ie, quoting Highland Radio.
You're very welcome back to the programme. Our first guest on the show today is Councillor Martin McDermott, Chair of the Defective Concrete Block Committee. Good morning, Martin. Great to have you on the show. Right, okay. You raised the issue in March again for costs for accommodation and storage to be refunded. What's the story today? There's a bit of a change today, really, that follows up on that, I understand.
Yeah, so back in March, there was a motion taken to council. I took a motion to council. This is probably going on, to be fair, Greg, since Christmas, where we found quite a number of people. Some people were on your show, and different people around the area were struggling to find 15,000 for our terms of accommodation. So it was stopping people being able to get that alternative accommodation. And as we know, accommodation is not easy got at the moment for people that are moving out of their houses or doing remediation options. So I brought a motion to council, seconded by Councillor Paul Canning, back at the end of March. Worked then along with the officials from Donegal County Council and the department to try and get a resolution, or to try and work, I suppose, around the regulations and legislation that is there at the minute, because we have to work to that to make things work. So we did. We went through that, and we did find a way in which we could do this and find a way that we could pay the money up front to people and then claim the money back at a later stage.
So how does it work then in reality? Like, say it were I.
Yeah, so the way it works now, Greg, if you needed alternative accommodation, you can get the invoice from whoever you're buying, whether it's a mobile home or whether it's renting accommodation. You can get the invoice from them, the location of where it's going to be delivered to, and the date it's going to be delivered to. You send that into the local authority, then they will pay you that money into your account. You have 3 months then to send back in the proof of payment, the proof that you have paid that person that money, a bank transfer showing your bank account, that money going into your bank account and then going to the contractor. So you have 3 months after that date then to do that. So that allows someone that wants to get the alternative accommodation, that they get the money up front, they can pay the whoever they're buying it off, and then you have 3 months, as I say, to put that back in. Same with someone wants to rent, for instance, they get their tenancy agreement. Again, the location of where renting, they can get an upfront payment to pay for that rent, and then they have 3 months then to put that evidence back in.
Right, so obviously then the logic here being that, it can be hard to front load some of these costs, particularly I think if you're actually buying a unit of accommodation, be it a mobile home or what, but also to stay competitive in the rental market, you actually have the funds available to lock that in. In terms of storage, how does that work? It's €5,000, isn't it, for storage?
Yeah, and it is, yeah. And again, with storage, it's the same. You can get either the lease agreement from someone that you're buying the storage from, or else the evidence or the invoice for the cost of the storage. Again, that can be submitted. The upfront payment will be paid on storage as well. And again, you have the 3 months to put that on. So it is certainly, a very important step for homeowners, because like a lot of people would contact me on a regular basis that are struggling at that early stage to get accommodation. So I think it's very, very important that this is done, and it allows people to move forward, because every stumbling block that we come up on, Greg, we have to try to get a way around that. And I think this is certainly a good step forward in relation to that.
How do you feel the scheme is working now? We saw the latest statistics. What is it? 47 houses now have been remediated in Donegal. Still uncertainty about foundations, rising blocks, and then of course the view is, and I'm not sure if you share it or not, that this is a good scheme this is a scheme that is working. So that final description of the scheme, how does that tally with the sense out there? And I want to be very fair on this, by the way, as well, if people do feel it's working. How does that tally then with the concerns people seem to have that they're being asked to rebuild on potentially unsafe foundations, or not unsafe, but you know what I mean, damaged foundations or rising walls?
Yeah, I suppose from the very start, Greg, and when we talked about this a number of months back, it's pretty much the same scenario. This scheme works for a certain amount of people, and for another certain amount of people it doesn't. And some people can make it work, and some people can't make it work. And I think, my job and our job is to help the people that can make it work to get their houses remediated and get them fixed.
Is it easy for you to sort of say what percentage do you think this works for versus doesn't work for?
Well, it's dependent on a lot of factors, Greg. It depends on the size of the house, for instance, that you have. Certainly houses that are over 2,200, 2,300 square foot will certainly have an outlay. Then smaller houses as well are a problem, because the smaller houses are costlier to build than a bigger house. And then you have certain circumstances where people just find themselves not able to deal with us and not able to withstand trying to go through rebuilding their home. So there's lots of different circumstances out there that makes it very, very difficult to get an exact answer to that question.
But do you believe it is a good scheme and a scheme that's working?
To say it's the scheme is working for a certain amount of people. It's not working for everybody, Greg. It certainly isn't. When I go around the doors and talk to people, there are quite a number of people that have now moved forward. There's a lot of houses being demolished. There's a lot of houses being remediated. It's certainly working for an element of people. But as I say, it's certainly not something that's working for everyone, because there are different anomalies there that make it difficult for people. As I say, again, particularly the bigger homes are something that we do have to look at. And it's not something we can look at now to after July, when the scheme is in for a year, and nothing could be changed for that first year. But that is something we definitely have to look at now, as to how we can either increase the cap, do something that helps those people that have larger houses to get them remediated without having the outlay that they have at the minute.
Okay. Just a couple of questions along the same lines. If you buy, say, for instance, a shed for storage, or if you buy a mobile home, you don't have to pay the money back. You don't have to, once you no longer use that mobile home, that is yours to do with what you will. There's no clawback on that from the state.
No.
Okay, simple as that. Thanks very much, Martin. I appreciate it. Okay. Councillor Martin McDermott there, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. A caller says, was anyone else at the Balmoral show in Lisbon on Saturday? It took us nearly 3 hours to get out of the car park, and cars were cutting in front of others. It was ridiculous. No, I didn't see that. I didn't. I wasn't even aware it was on. But if you were affected by that, let us know as well. Thanks to Martin McDermott. He was a great help to us in getting Forms Money information when I got my house done 2 years ago. Another texter texted in to say, wondering how the story went on with Frank, who had a defective concrete home and nowhere to move to. I'm not on Facebook or Instagram. We didn't hear any updates. Thank you kindly. This was an older gentleman who was recently widowed, and he had to move out of his house, and he was desperate. He couldn't find anywhere else. There was a lot of publicity, social media. We covered it as well. Just to give you an update, he was given a home by a very kind person, and he was given it for a year, and longer actually than a year if he needs it. So there's still amazing people out there who are prepared to help with others. A caller says it's no wonder that Sinn Féin are falling in the polls. Well, are they? I'll come back to that in a second. But it's just quite interesting. There was another poll issued, and I think I've said it on the show before. Not that it matters what my opinions are, but these polls are becoming, I don't know. Now, I am sure someone will try and explain as to why there can be such a discrepancy in polls, but still, nonetheless, the discrepancy is huge. So we had an Irish Times Ipsos B&A poll, which was taken on between May 11th and 15th, And at that point, Sinn Féin was on 23, down 5. Fine Gael were up 4 to 23. Fianna Fáil on 20. And then there is a Sunday Times Ireland opinion poll, which was released for May. And it showed Sinn Féin at 27% no change. Fine Gael down to 19%, down 1. Fianna Fáil no change on 16. Now, there are other parties there, don't get me wrong. I just don't have time to go through them all. So 2 opinion polls released days apart. In one, Sinn Féin at 23%. In the other, Sinn Féin at 27%. In one, Fine Gael at 23%. In another, Fine Gael at 19%. Fianna Fáil at 20% in one and at 16% in another. And the margin of error in both in and around the 2.53%. So it would make you wonder about these polls, wouldn't it, and how much reliance can be placed on them. And I think particularly in light of the recent referendums in which the polls were as far out as, that lighthouse at Fanad.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Take the long way home in a 242 Volkswagen. Join Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny for our 242 Open Week taking place from the 20th to 25th of May. Discover our finance offers available across the range like the fully electric ID7, all new Tiguan and the iconic 50th edition Golf. Each journey brings you closer to discovering something new. So take that detour and visit our showroom in Canal Road, Letterkenny during our 242 Open Week to avail of these offers. Or call our team today to book a test drive on 074 91 22 333. Discover the range at connollys.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
At Screwfix, you can click and collect over 10,000 trade products in as little as 1 minute. So whether it's a power drill in Portlaoise or guttering in Galway, when you need it yesterday, just click at screwfix.ie and collect at your local store 7 days a week. T's and C's apply. Visit screwfix.ie for full details.
It's time to transform your smile with the help of Blue Poppy Dental, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Their expert team offer orthodontics, teeth whitening, implants and composite bonding all in-house. Start your journey by calling 074 97 40404 or easily book your appointment online at a time that suits you through their user-friendly patient portal. Available anytime, anywhere at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Gift vouchers available.
Raymond Sweeney here to introduce you to heat pump tumble dryers. With these dryers you can save up to 50% on energy use, enjoy softer clothes, and thanks to advanced sensor drying technology you will have wrinkle-free laundry every time. Upgrade your drying experience today with a heat pump tumble dryer, now available at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or the shopping centre Dunlow.
Just a reminder for you that our series of local and European election debates begin today as we head towards polling in early June. Coming up after 10 o'clock, and for those of you who want to watch it, it's a separate stream to the one that's broadcasting at the moment. We'll be focusing on the Milford electoral area, and it should be an interesting debate. There are 9 candidates contesting 3 seats there, and we have 6 of them in studio with us. They are Fianna Fáil's Liam Blaney, Independent Páirc McGarvey, Maria Doherty of Sinn Féin, Declan Meehan, who is an independent, Vincent Bradley, also an independent, who, interestingly, is actually running in 2 different areas. We'll talk about that after 10. Kathleen Deaney of Eamon Jackson of 100% Redress, and for their own reasons, John O'Donnell, Aaron Sweeney, unable to attend. We did invite them, but unable to attend. So 7 of the 9, I beg your pardon, will be with us. Then, after 12, we have our first European elections, which are exclusively online. Of course, Midlands North West constituency is massive. It covers Donegal, Cavan, Galway, Kildare, Leitrim, Longford, Louth, Mayo, Meath, Monaghan, Roscommon, Sligo and Westmeath, and, if that's not enough, the city of Galway. So there are 5 seats and there are 27 candidates, and we've invited them all, as we have with the locals. Taking part in the debate today, Niall Blaney of Fianna Fáil, Michelle Smith, non-party, Christmas Manic, Sinn Féin, Rory Hearn of the Social Democrats, John Waters is non-party. He did not respond to our requests to join those debates. So that's coming up after 12 in a sort of an online exclusive there. Right, we are joined on the programme now by Brendan Devaney, presenter of the DL Debate podcast. Good morning, Brendan.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you keeping?
Not too bad, Yeah, good weekend, busy.
Yeah, all right. Heartbreak for the Donegal ladies losing out to Armagh. I'm not sure there's a good way to lose or a bad way to lose, but certainly it's one of those, isn't it? There's a lot of positives to take from that game. You'll have John McNulty on, the ladies' manager. But as I say, anytime you're talking about a loss, you'd far prefer to be talking about a win.
Yeah, definitely. Greg, I suppose we talked about it a lot. He's doing a rebuild job there. Armagh were getting the games as big favourites. So again, brilliant stuff from our ladies to get into a position to win the match. So yeah, extra time victory for Armagh. Tough one. A lot of ding-dongs with Armagh this last while, Greg. I was down at the minor match on Saturday, Ulster semi-final. Armagh beat us in Ballyshannon. Barry Ward's team, very good Armagh side, as I say. Unfortunately, that's the season over for them. Donegal ladies, of course, go on to the All-Ireland series now. Kerry and Waterford are in their group.
Yeah, but this is a team in transition, isn't it? It's sort of halfway between where it was and where it needs to go.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, if you're in transition and you're still competing at Ulster final level, it just shows you the talent that's already there and the job that John and his team's doing. So it'll be interesting to get his views on where he sees the team at and what the possibilities are now going into the All-Ireland series. So speaking to him this evening.
A lot of football and hurling on at the weekend. What stood out for me is what seems like the wheels coming off Derry.
Yeah, do you know what, Greg? It's a lot of people looking at that. Galway, 6 championship games now against Derry. They've won the 6 of them. It's a phenomenal record. There's just certain teams don't seem to like playing each other, or Galway certainly do like playing Derry, if you like. But yeah, sending off at a huge bearing, Greg, on it. Only seen highlights so far. Was at a club game myself that evening. So yeah, I heard them in News Talk yesterday, more or less saying, what was the point in Derry winning the league and the championship, and they were trying to figure out the whole season. But winning the league, I think, still was big for Derry. The what they got out of it in terms of the evolution of their team. Certainly the Donegal defeat rocked them back on their heels. But even if Derry were going well, to go away to Galway and win is a difficult proposition, and that is the toughest group in the All-Ireland series. So the sending off is a big part to play in this, Greg. And once that happens and you're down a man, the extra numbers of Galway means that it's going to be game on for them. And Galway, of course, FE League, Greg, but they had 6 or 7 of their top players injured. They're all back now. So that team that was in the All-Ireland final and just 2 years ago, you've basically got that side back in. So I think people that were putting Derry down as favourites for that game maybe hadn't read the situation that well. Now, Derry obviously 5 weeks off. Huge job to get them back and get them back winning a match. But I think this was always going to be a difficult game. And listen, it's still possible for them, but certainly a bit of turmoil in there now, and a lot of questions being asked in the Derry camp.
Yeah, and as I say, there's loads. I know you're talking about hurling as well, but we'll get to that in a moment too. Is it too soon to be looking forward to the Saturday night match, Tyrone Donegal? I don't know, as a player, what it was like playing in the evening time. It's not fantastic for fans, especially those with young kids. It's hard to get tickets as it is. But are you going to be looking forward to that game at all this evening?
Yeah, certainly. Frank McGlynn's on the show, former All-Ireland winner, and unbelievable baller that he is. He's on with James O'Donoghue, former All-Ireland winner, of course, from Kerry, which kind of goes with anybody. It goes with Kerry, I suppose, but he's a former footballer of the year as well. Of course, he got that in 2014 when Kerry beat us in the final. And I must say to him, I thought Neil McGee should have got it that year. But anyway, I'll throw that question to him when I get him on tonight, Greg. Of course, yeah, big game coming up, Greg. Yeah, definitely going to talk about it. I mean, rivalry with Tyrone is huge, and there's a bit of an up for match McCool's are doing on Friday night there. Frank's going to be at it as well, myself and a load of other ex-players and pundits and that. So yeah, building up to the game. Huge
I actually
game,
have a bit of exclusive news for you as it relates to the preparations for that game from deep within the Donegal camp, relating to Jim McGuinness. So I'm not saying you can talk about it on the show tonight, but this is an exclusive. He had a 99 in Carragart yesterday.
You're spying on him.
Now, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to affect preparations this close out, this far out to a game, but he had a 99. That's all I can say. No
Well, listen, if I was talking to Oisin now, he'd be like, "Did you have your pop with you? Pull it out."
Exactly.
Oisin's trying to turn me into a 24/7 reporter there.
All right. Anyway, so just a little bit of news for you there. Mickey McCann on the show as well.
Yeah, Donegal. Greg, do you know what? The hurlers, keep saying it, unbelievable team, just keep getting better and better. You know, the crunch game for them in the group stages was away to Roscommon, the second last game. They see they could secure it. And, you know, people were saying it was going to be a difficult match, and Donegal, you know, completely outplayed them. So going in against Mayo now, you know, they're the two best teams, Greg, that are in it. And hurling just seems to be getting better and better, up a division next year. And certainly the sky's the limit for these guys. You know, phenomenal work being done by Mickey and his team there. So yeah, really looking forward to the Nicky Record final as well, and to get Mickey's views on getting back to HQ and another big day for the Donegal hurlers.
Yeah, and I think it's great too, Brendan, from your perspective, and it's our perspective as well too, that you've been tracking that journey, right? You know, all the time, like, but that they've been getting the chat and the publicity and the previews and reviews that they deserve. So Frank McGlynn, James O'Donoghue, 2 All-Ireland winners on to talk football, along with yourself, of course, Brendan. Mickey McCann's on the show, and as you say, John McNulty, ladies football manager. That'll be an interesting interview as well. Not easy talking after a loss, but lots of positives maybe to take from that. Am I missing anything?
No,
else?
That's it, Greg. I say that the interview got me Barry Ward up on nightradio.com just from Saturday's game. So yeah, Greg, listen, as you say, we have to, and no more than I heard your intro there about throwing it out to all the different political people that are standing. You know, we got to give everybody their opportunity, and it was interesting there on News Talk yesterday. Say the talk was about, you know, the 98%, the club, the split season, and all that, and about GA losing money. I mean, the GA has doubled its money in its last 10 years. You know, 10 years ago, 2014, they made 56 million. They made 112 last year. You know, it's not about money. It's about, you know, everybody having a share and everybody being promoted. And that's kind of the same kind of thing you're doing today. And that's what we try and do in the show as well. Make sure we support all our teams across the GA.
And the thing is Brendan, which I don't understand, and this is not to criticise anyone else, it's actually easier to be inclusive and to give everyone an opportunity than not. Do you know what I mean? Like, as difficult as it is to organise stuff like what we're doing and what you do, it's actually, it's far more difficult to exclude people. It takes much more thought and planning and justification. But anyway, people continue to do it. All right, Brendan, have a goodie. We'll look forward to the show tonight, and it's in association with Sister Sarah's too, of course. Thanks very much indeed, Brendan. That's Brendan Devaney, presenter of the DL Debate. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number, or give us a call at 07491 25,000. Right. Oh yeah, I was about to read this comment and then I cut across it and then we moved on. It's no wonder that Sinn Féin are falling in the polls. Their agenda on sexuality and transgender is ridiculous. They have forgotten who they are. I'm not really quite sure what their policy is. They don't tend to stick to any position on anything anymore. They go one way, and as soon as they realise the public are going another way, off they go in that direction. In the publication of bathing water standards last week, Ladies' Bay is once again listed as failing to meet the necessary criteria. The incident further validates opposition to the establishment of the plant at Carnagarv. I often think it's quite interesting when we talk about our waterways and the quality of water, and it's often the farmers that get the brunt of that with new directives and new hoops that they have to jump to and what have you. And it should be mentioned too that much of the pollution that we see is actually stuff that's being pumped out on behalf of the state, effectively. Right. Explain to me how the Ukrainians contribute to the economy. Our town's full of them. I do not see them contribute much. They do not deserve big payouts every week. The Irish must be looked after first. Many of them do work, some of them don't. I take your point. It's up to you what you feel. Myself and my husband both work hard since we left college 30 years ago. We have 3 children, paid every penny to educate them, got nothing from the state. Now my daughter was in between jobs for 4 months, had to move home, couldn't afford rent in Dublin, could not get a penny in welfare, and is living with us. How was she to live on fresh air, they ask? This country, believes this mum or dad, oh, it's a mum, this country is a complete joke, they say. Yes, we were delayed for a few hours getting out of the car park at the Balmoral show on Friday. It was ridiculous. I don't know what was going on there. I have a 1,280 square foot semi-D house and have a €45,000 shortfall on the redress scheme. €45,000, that's huge. And it's a modest enough property by the looks of things. That's huge. Where would you get the money? That's a tight one. Right, okay, let's take a break. Back with our next guest after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,650 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
At AXA, we know running a home can run up your costs too. That's why you can save up to 30% on our home insurance. Get a quote today. Together, we've got this. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. Minimum premium is €160. A 30% discount is available after 3 consecutive years claims free, 15% after 2 consecutive years, and 10% after 1 year claims free. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Boost your brain function with Remind supplements this May. Visit Healthwise Pharmacies for the innovative Life Meter test. In just 1 minute, measure your carotenoid levels from a simple fingertip scan. Understanding your diet can help you take charge of your brain health. Remind's blend of carotenoids and omega-3 fatty acids supports normal brain function. Make an appointment today at Ballyrain and Dunlow Healthwise Pharmacies. Take the first step towards a healthier brain with Remind.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the North West, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Thursday 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. with late night openings Fridays until 7. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725 822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. With over 50 years of serving the community in Donegal, McElhinney's is proud to be part of every moment, big and small. Support local, shop McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
Okie doke, we're 3/4 of the way through the first hour. Can you believe it? Today, dry and bright with sunny spells this morning. A few showers, though, may develop in the afternoon, turning rather heavy and thundery at times. The showers will continue through to this evening and will turn more overcast to highest temperatures of 20 to 23 degrees. Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Liam O'Brien, fisherman in Greencastle. Good morning, Liam.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay. Anyone that listens to Highland Radio News, or this show for that matter, would be familiar with the ongoing saga of the Greencastle breakwater. What's its situation at the moment, by the way? Has there been further work on it? I believe there has, hasn't there?
No, it is on its completion there. They're looking at another phase, maybe down the line.
Yeah, okay.
That phase is finished, like, and... sorry, there's a lot of sorry, what I call it. There's a lot of issues, like there's a lot of negative points about it. Is the tides, the whole tide system around it and above it and below it has all changed, and where I fish above between it and Maville, up to Maville Light. There's some very rapid currents there. A lot of swimmers have complained, and I know it myself. I've experienced myself that they're vicious. They're very vicious tides, like come down on especially spring tides. And a lot of people swim along it. A lot of people have stopped swimming along it. That have the knowledge from the local area. They're swimming over the winter under mental health and that. And basically they stop swimming. The currents are too strong in it.
So, are we talking unintended consequences?
I would say so, but to go out 60 foot of wall under the water and a bottleneck, the 10 mile wide or 10 mile long of a lock, 7 mile wide and all that boiling water, try to get out through the bottleneck at Greencastle and McGilligan. It's actually forced the tide, tried to force the tide through. When it's forcing the tide, it's developing a different tides to what we're used to, the salmon and everything else. Like the one tide's running up the river, the tide's coming into the river, it's running up. There's another counter tide coming down along Glenburnie, and a lot of people will be picnicking there in the summer, holiday makers and that there. And what we're looking to see if get up signs there. Like I've been on to councillors. Sure, it's built now. What can we do? Well, at the end of the day, there's a danger there. It needs to be addressed before some child or some two or one goes to save the other.
But the whole idea of this breakwater was to support the fishing industry and the marine industry. There's 200 people in that area, either directly or indirectly employed. Greencastle, the second largest whitefish port in Ireland. This was all supposed to make life easier.
I don't think it has. I think it's a disaster. And if they go with the lower wall coming out from the lower end of the pier, that counter tide that's developed down now across the village in Greencastle, it's going to go up and go out on the ebb tide. So if you're trying to get onto a boat, we have to go down now. If we're at the herring net, come down the river, we'll load the herring net with an ebb tide. We have to go down below, close on the two pier heads and come back up, go down really to the front of the village and come up in. There's a very strong current. It's developed a very, very strong current there. And there's canoes and all of cope there. And the canoe was got at one of the boy was out canoeing. He was out way back before they extend that breakwater. So the currents have got worse now, far worse. McGilligan Point's all that away. There's possibly three counter tides developed off this here. All the tides was there for hundreds of years, thousands of years are gone. They're gone. They don't exist anymore. These are rapid currents, underwater rapid currents, and it's just the fact that people be swimming there in the summer, and that there, and they have no knowledge of it. If they come there a year ago or 2 years ago, and to go out and think they're going out in the same depth again, it's not happening because there's going to be somebody lost. Actually, along where they're walking out, they reckon now there's a gullet. The swimmers are saying now there's a gullet. It's set on. A child went out over his thing. It'll just drop 4 foot. And there's a current running there.
All right. Okay. Well, listen, I'm really interested in other people's views as well. Not in any way to discredit your views, Liam, but just to see what the general feeling is. I know that's what your feeling is. I mean, this is a 25 million euro project. I mean, there was a fear. I think it was about 8 million was spent on it initially, and because it wasn't topped off and the money dried up, there was concerns that 8 million could effectively be washed away. But more money from Minister McConaughey's, mostly from Minister McConaughey's department, was pumped into it. It's 25 million on. They described it as a game changer, but by the sounds of things, from your perspective, it's changed the game in the wrong way. Is there not a bedding in period, Liam, whereby, those that use the water just have to get used to the different behaviours of the water with this development there?
Like you're like the tides there, they're rapid. I wouldn't swim there. I fish my gear there because I'll tell you, for instance, Greg, I had pots above the breakwater on both sides and along the shore for lobsters. They're large pots. It takes 2 men to lift them. It all has to be done by hydraulics. I baited them one day and I left them with the spring tides, and there was no bad weather, no surge or anything. And one of the other fishermen called me one morning. He says, "I think I've thrown one of your pots out at the mouth of the foil." Out at the mouth of the foil, out at the estuary, out at Shrove. And it was one of my pots. And on back, there was 2 more missing. I never got them. At 2 men, it takes their might to lift them. So if you put a child or anybody on there, and that's somewhere along the shore, and tight on the shore, and on the sort of nearly on the beach, if that can lift without buoyancy on it, and go maybe 2 miles down the river within maybe 2 days, what would a child or an adult do on the currents? That'll tell you the currents is there.
Yeah. Is it just possible, though, that because obviously the water is behaving differently, that you need to find somewhere else to fish?
Well, I can still fish it, But I just, as you're saying there, I have to get used to it. And I have to watch the slack of the tides and work the tides around it. Because I know, it's my job to know the tides.
Yeah, I get you.
For fishing, it's my job to know them, to get the technique in the tides.
Okay, well,
but
just
if you
finally...
Just thinking it's okay to go out and swim and not know about these currents, it's not hard. Like, all the signs goes up for tourism and all the rest. It's unfair for me not to say it.
I get you, and I'm not questioning you at all. The only thing I will say, though, Liam, what do you think should be done?
Well, there's nothing really you can do, as they say, but at least one thing, you can put up signs that there's rip currents there.
Right,
to have them on different beaches. That's basically to make people aware that these currents have got stronger. That's the one. There's nothing to do. The breakwater is there now, but it has a danger, and even small craft going up past it and come down past it, and canoes and that, canoes and spring tides, especially spring tides.
Okay.
There is an issue. There's a danger issue there, and it needs to be addressed.
All right, okay, Liam. Listen, thank you very much for that. The point's well made.
They could save less placards, put up and do the honourable thing and put up signs. And if they want to go out, I'll show them. I no bother taking any councillors or any engineers out or anybody out to show them what the tides is like out there.
I get you. Thank you very much indeed. That's Liam there, who is a fisherman in the area. Are you a water user in the Greencastle area? Does do his comments resonate with you, or do you disagree? Let us know. 086 60 25,000. Great to see Aintu candidate for Europe. Pader Tobin out and about in Donegal at the weekend, with Pader at 6 in the polls compared to Fianna Fáil's Niall Blaney on 2. It was shameful that not one media outlet in the country appeared to cover his visit. Democracy in Ireland. Don't make me laugh, they say. Hi, Greg. You were talking about hurling. Well, I would have an issue with the county board. I have a game tonight, under 14 hurling final between Burt St Eunan's, and believe it or not, the game is on in Carndonagh. Surely the venue for this game should be Convoy or Ballabafay. Regards, Paul. It's very hard to get out of Letterkenny at 6:30 with traffic. They add to that. I live in Hornhead. The electricity went off at 11 a.m. and didn't come back until 4 p.m. On Sundays. I had guests over from England. I was supposed to cook for them. I had no electricity and had to tell them to get a takeaway. It's like this nearly every weekend. I don't know if it's because there are more people on holidays here at the weekend in the Hornhead area. There is planning permission for 23 new homes in Hornhead. We don't have the facilities for this. We don't have any improvements in our water or our electricity supply. It took me 4 hours to charge my phone in Hornhead. I went to a friend in Port Nabla. It took me 30 minutes to charge the phone. I'm not quite sure how that works because the amount of charge a phone needs is so small. I don't know. But anyway, listen, that's that person's lived experience. Okay. Now, we are heading towards the first of our debates for these local and European elections, but our focus is the local elections on this show for the next couple of hours. Are you feeling a buzz about the elections? Maybe it starts today. I don't know. I was speaking to some people that have been out on the doorsteps and they're not feeling the buzz. But listen, as I say, we're a couple of weeks out now. Maybe it begins. Just to remind you, Milford is our focus today. We have a different area for every day of the week for the next 10 days. We are going to be debating with 7 candidates. I'll name them for you one more time. Liam Blaney of Fianna Fáil, Pádraig McGarvey, who's an independent, Maria Doherty of Sinn Féin, Declan Meehan, who's an independent, Vincent Bradley, also standing as an independent. Kathleen Deaney of Aintu will be with us. Eamon Jackson of the 100% Regis Party also will be joining us as well. Those who couldn't attend for their own reasons or chose not to. John O'Donnell, independent, he says he's attending a council meeting. Aaron Sweeney of Fine Gael, he was unable to attend due to work commitments. And that's it, actually. The only 2 that are unable to get involved. Vincent Bradley was unsure until recently, so he's in now. Right, so if you're watching this stream, it's about to come to a conclusion because we're going to switch studios and restart the stream for the first of our debates. So if you normally get a notification, you will get a notification. But if you just want to tune in for the debates, if you only listen on radio, go to the YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, or on the X platform or across Facebook. But for now, we will take a break for the news and the obituary notices, and then we're back for Debate 1 ahead of the local and European elections next month.